This is Ray Blaylark with Sickle Cell Foundation of Minnesota. This is our virtual education program. We're so glad that you're here. We are going to begin, but first, I want to make sure that I say special thank you to our partners and our sponsors. First and foremost, our special guest, A.R. the Prophet. Hey, you're going to hear from him in just a second. But also our sponsors of Beam Therapeutics, Memorial Blood Centers, and the Sickle Cell Data Collection Program right here in Minnesota. We are one of the 11 states that's going to be growing soon. It might be coming to your state through the CDC's Sickle Cell Data Collection Program, very important program. So without further ado, I want to make sure y'all know exactly where you at tonight. We are right here, and our topic for tonight is priapism in men with sickle cell disease. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things, and most importantly, how are we going to save the male trunks? So without further ado, let me go on and stop sharing. All right, I want to introduce you to a friend, a comrade in the work that we do, a fellow advocate, a fierce advocate like yours truly. We have had the opportunity to share some really important spaces together, to advocate together, to talk together. You know, man, the community, we cry together, laugh together, eat together, we do it all, right? Absolutely. DeMitrious, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hello there, everyone. I'm DeMitrious Wyant, patient advocate, living with sickle cell genotype SS. My SS is Soldier Strong. That's what I like to put on mine. Born and raised in the Midwest, Des Moines, Iowa. Lived in Atlanta for about 10 years, studied film out there at the Art Institute of Atlanta, and then moved out here to Orlando, Florida, where I now thrive with a catering company and just sickle cell all around. Advocacy is my lifestyle. I never knew I would have so much love and passion for sickle cell, but
right.
Man, it forced me to learn and understand and want to be better. So I love sickle cell, man.
You know, that's a big statement, right? Because all of us we had to come to terms, whether you are the person living with sickle cell disease, the warrior, or you're the caregiver who gave birth to that warrior. We all had to go through this journey of accepting what was, what we couldn't change, right? And learning along the way, because, you know, as many doctors that we have that are allies, that are in our corner, that we got, you know, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as many that don't understand sickle cell, that don't necessarily feel like they're in our corner. So we've all had a journey, and your journey is unique because, you know, I seen just recently that you had made some posts, especially around Mother's Day, because you were reflecting upon your own journey with sickle cell. Now, where were you born?
Des Moines, Iowa.
You were born in Des Moines, Iowa, which is a neighbor of Minnesota. I'm just going to say it. And my mama was born in Iowa. So, you know, we like cousins or something. So,
we always took trips to Minnesota to go to the what's the big mall that was out there?
Mall of America. You know where us Minnesotans don't go.
Yeah, we always went.
We let y'all come in town and go. So, but that journey, you know, is something that's real important. So first and foremost, I'm gonna call out this pun intended, the elephant in the room, because to have a young man with sickle cell disease on this show I don't take that lightly. I have a son with sickle cell disease, 27 years old. You know, every time I interact, you and I have had conversations, every time I interact with the community, but particularly the men in the community. I'm a boy mom. I don't have no girls. Thank you, Jesus. He didn't give me none because he knew the type of personality I had. But I feel this connection when I'm speaking to our male warriors, because you all have some unique experiences that aren't always reflected in the conversations in the community, right? They're not even talked about as often as they should be in the doctor's office. You know, when I was in the clinic setting, one of the things I used to say all the time, how come we're not talking about priapism? My son started having priapism issues when he was 6 years old. I didn't know what that was. So I didn't know to go to the doctor. I didn't know to report that. I was like, I don't know. He would be like, Mom, it's getting hard again. I don't talk to your uncle. I don't know. you know. So when conversation began, you know, I wouldn't even say conversation, it was like the whispers. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't a lot of open conversation. How, I know that you had a personal experience with priapism. Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So I want to actually just piggyback off what you were saying. Like, I didn't know what priapism was, and never heard of the term priapism until I was 15, until it was happening to me. And at this time, it was stuttering priapism, or what they call intermittent priapism. It was coming and going. So like, I feel like I was losing already at that point, because how am I 15 and I haven't heard of this extension of sickle cell? You know, so that's a lack of education that we're getting from our providers. They're not educating on us, not just what we're living with right now, but what we can be expecting down the line with our sickness. That was my issue. I never had nobody that really had a good understanding of sickle cell. I just had hematologists, you know what I'm saying, oncologists, you know. So it's never really a sickle cell specialist that I had in my corner that was setting me and my family up, letting us know, listen, you need to expect this. You know, you have a male living with SS. He could be at possibility for priapism. Had we heard these terminologies when we was young, we would have did more research. We would have did, you know, we never knew. We never knew preventative measures to take. So
and let's define priapism because we might have somebody on here who's not as familiar, or they may have been miseducated. Let's make sure that we all on the same page. Talk about what is priapism.
So priapism is a prolonged or unwanted erection that's happening in the male's penis area. Now, it happens because of low blood flow, lack of blood flow, just like anything else with our sickle cell. If we're not getting the right amount of blood flow, oxygen to our cells, then, you know, our back could hurt, our shoulders, anywhere our joints are, we can have pain. That's the same thing as priapism, but it's in the penis because it's a muscle area and blood does flow there. If we're not getting the proper blood flow, the blood, what happens is it starts to clump up in one area, causing stiffness, and that is a very painful erection. And that's without any sexual arousal. That just happens to males who have sickle cell.
No matter where you at, no matter what time of day. Now, I have heard that so it can start in very early years, like it did in my son. It can start a little bit later, but I would honestly say by the time you recognize it, or by the time your child or your teenager even mentions it, it's probably been going on a little bit.
Absolutely, right? And we don't tell them. And most of the time, priapism happens in the young men. It's at nighttime, when it's time to sleep, when your body's at full rest, and your cells are not sick. Forming the way that they need to. They don't have enough oxygen that they need, so they're not flowing. And that's what happens. And what happens is, I did research that it can happen in young men as early as 4 years of age. So you can be 4 years old and have these issues. Man, can you imagine a 4-year-old? He already don't understand why he's in so much pain. And then he's having these other complications.
Exactly. My son was 6 years old. First of all, I mean, he's my only child by birth. I have bonus kids, but he's my only child by birth. At 6 years old, I'm like, well, I can't really tell you much about that part of your body, but thankfully I have brothers. So we kind of approached it from, okay, this must be a guy thing, right? We didn't think about it as a sickle cell thing. I would honestly say that he was probably in his late teens, getting ready to transition, before a conversation ever even came up where I could put 2 and 2 together. I didn't use the word priapism.
Right.
You know, absolutely. I mean, I probably used more street-ish terms. And for him, you know, he was 6 years old. So your pee-pee. You know, he's like, my pee-pee's, you know, doing that again. And I'm like, don't touch it. That was always my response. Don't touch it. Let's call your uncle. And I have yet to understand, even in that young age, and even in the early adolescence, you know, what does that do to the psychological understanding of what healthy body function is?
Right.
You know, I mean, I can't even fathom, right?
Just to understand, like, I never understood my priapism until it was full blown out of whack with me. Since I didn't have doctors educating me, I did use it in its wrong ways. So since I was always erected, you know, at all times of the day. I was using it for pleasure. And the problem was it was making it more, it was giving me more pain, more issues, causing more issues. And I was thinking that I was going, you know, indulge in this pleasure, ejaculate, and it'll help it go down. You know, that would be that.
Right.
I'm thinking
Right.
natural terms. I'm trying to think natural, but that wasn't the case. And it had always hurt me when I did that. When I did it like that, that would be the issue where I have to be in the hospital, admitted, because it's been being erected for so long. I've been erected for so many hours with priapism that for my mental, man, listen,
Right.
it's the worst pain. It's the worst pain that I ever endured with sickle cell. So
I find it, you know, I find it interesting because, in fact, as I even think back, you know, what finally helped me to put 2 and 2 together is when I worked in the clinic. I was in the clinic for almost 7 years, and I had a particular patient who was suffering from repeated stuttering priapism. And I began to ask questions, like, and I came into that role having a great deal of understanding about sickle cell disease. And that shook me, that threw me, because I'm like, wait, hold on. I don't read anything about this. I don't see anything about this. I don't hear anything about this. Nobody's talking about this. And I'm the one with a boy. And here I am trying to support this family with their adolescent teenager he's probably about 15, 16. You know, he was, you know, in the emergency room, you know, all kinds of people around him in his one of the most vulnerable positions you can be in, with your sexual organs showing for everyone. That don't feel good. And what do they do? And I appreciate, let me just say, I appreciate that you're so open in talking about this, because somebody out there, and I'm sure it's more than one, needs to hear, needs to understand. That's why I love your Save the Male Trunks initiative. What do they do to bring that erection down?
So they give you phenylephrine injections on both sides of the shaft of the penis. And so I like to use the male trunk as the analogy. So here's the penis, right? Let me get it right here. Here's the penis. They go in on this side of the shaft at the bottom, at the base of it where the eye is. And then they they inject it with phenylephrine. I believe it was almost like 2 milligrams in an IV vial. That is a lot.
That's a lot of liquid
on each side. And what it would do is it would make the penis go down. It would contract the muscles. You know, it would now give it blood flow. But this was a damaging procedure. So after having so many, you can imagine having, by the time it spiraled out of control for me, I was headed to the ER every other night. Every night this was happening.
How did you find someone that could finally care for you in a way that you felt you were on the right track? Because
I never did. I never could. All of this was trial and error for me. I had to study and learn this on my own, literally. I didn't have no doctor. By the time I found someone that was ready to do this surgery for me, I was already in the hospital 30+ days telling these people that I need a surgery. I hadn't found a urologist. All the urologists that I looked up was telling me no. They didn't want to perform this.
That's what I was waiting for, a urologist. So that is, tell me what a urologist is.
So a urologist is they specialize in the male aspects of the penis area. So everything from prostate to priapism. And here's the thing, most urologists, you got to find urologists that specialize in sickle cell. Most urologists, they've never seen what I went through. And that's why a lot of them didn't want to take me. I thought it was out of spite, but they literally knew what they was up against. They knew that I was damaged. They was looking at me like, man, all the men that I see 50+, 60 years old, and they're getting these surgeries that I'm talking about getting. And I was just 27, 28. So the urologist that I had found, Dr. Patel, man, great man. He did a lot of surgeries. He's here at Advent Health, Florida Hospital. And I think he was like the 3rd doctor after I done seen all these doctors told me, no, urologist, come to my bedside, see me in all of this pain every single day. Like, they doing blood exchanges. I done had 20 units of blood I done had Viagra, Cialis, everything that they're gonna think that's gonna work as against it. We exalt all options, and I just want them to see, listen, Sudafed, everything, anything that they thought it was. I said, okay, I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the doubt. Let's do it. So I could show y'all what's going on. And man, these folks still seen and still was telling me no. But Dr. Patel came in. I had let him know I was recording. This is when I was making my documentary. I had let him know I was recording when he came in, and man, he was so humble. He was like, man, I didn't see your charts. I didn't read.
Yeah.
You know, I done read everything that's going on. I done talked to people. They know that you're most knowledgeable about what's going on. And he's like, let's talk about it. Let's do it. Said, I love to help you. And then, you know, once he did help me, the first surgery that we did, it didn't go as well as planned. So we had to do another one. So the first one was a shunt procedure, and the next one was a penile prosthesis.
Okay, so let's walk through what that surgery is and what they had to do to correct it. And you know, this is because it was addressed so late. It had gone on for so long, right? So the goal is to help people to address this before it gets to that point. But
And
let's
that's
talk
the
about
whole
what you
reason
had to go
behind the
through.
Save the Mail Trunks is preventative measures before you have to go through what I went through. So this is this surgery, man, very painful. That's all he kept saying. Well, the most thing he always kept addressing to me and letting me know that it could be a possibility that I won't bear children, that I won't have any type of children. At this point in my life, I was going through so much pain with this priapism. I was fine with that. That was the last thing on my mind. So I said, Doc, I'm not worried about that at all. If Lord willing, if that's what's necessary, that will happen. That was the one thing he always stressed out. But other than that, when we did the first surgery, he said it would take, I think he told me 25, 30 minutes that this surgery would take. He went in there and it took me like an hour and 45 minutes. He did all this scraping because of the phenylephrine injections and all the scar tissue that I had, the damage that built up in my penis from having to get all of these shots and having to make it go down in a medical way instead of a natural way. And that was the thing. Instead of, I was so far gone that these people, no one educated me on no natural ways that I could do what I could do to help myself. I was too far off for a natural route at this point. I had to have these surgeries. Right. You know what I'm saying? So,
do you think that, because I know a little bit more of your story that we're going to get into, do you think that, because this is a great transition, do you think that that experience and your lack of having any control over being preventative or proactive began you on a different journey with your sickle cell disease and how you chose to address it?
Most definitely, it did. From that point, when I started understanding that I had a priapism issue alongside sickle cell, like priapism was a monster birth from sickle cell.
Yes.
I was more intrigued and fathomed that it was like that. I was like, man, how many other more, extensions from sickle cell are going to arrive in my life? That's when I went full student. That's when I went full student doctor mode. I got to be my own doctor. I got to look at this thing from now a healing perspective instead of being a patient. And that was my mindset this whole time, because I was in front of doctors that was looking at me like I was a joke, and I was a patient in need of real care, real help. And these people looked at me like,
and having your own personal dignity out there for everybody, because you know what they do, they want to bring this, this medical student in and this other doctor in, and
that's what it was with priapism. When I was going through that whole time I was in there, it'd be like 5 to 6 people in there, because I was like a case study. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's like, no, we got these students in here this week, and they're all going to be coming in here to your room because what you have going on is very significant. And then I'm like, man, y'all need to be doing a little more, education on this beforehand. It's good that they're able to see this like this, but this being it far off, and so I had to go into full doctor mode and take care of myself.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it. That's the way I approached it. So, but after I had the surgeries, I realized I was 28, about to be 30. So I didn't want my life to be, okay, the doctor said I have to have surgery. That's what I have to have. Okay.
And how old are you now?
The doctor said, I'm 35 now. I'll be 36 in July.
Yeah.
From then on, I haven't had so many, I cut down on blood transfusion, everything. I started looking at sickle cell in a whole aspect of my life and my body, what it was doing to me. Why I have to always have the smallest aches and pains and run to the hospital and be in the hospital for 2 weeks, you know, like it was just a whole lot that I had to take a step back from. I was getting blood transfusions at a frequent rate that I knew. I just started understanding that the treatment for sickle cell was dangerous and it wasn't safe.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and that's why they gave it, that's why they was able to give us a lifespan, because they understood that the treatment that we was going to endure was going to shut our organs down.
It's the, you know, and you're so right. And I want people to really understand that, because we know that you can, you know, there is no cure for sickle cell. There's no universal cure, and what is available, you know, other than a bone marrow transplant, which has been around for about 30 plus years, but maybe 40 now. But you know, even the gene therapy that they're coming out with, it's still in the phase of understanding it and making sure that, you know, they're looking at how long is this going to last. But what was different, what I find different about your journey is you went from sickle cell controlling you to you controlling it, right? And that doesn't mean you cured it, but it means that you have more power over it than it has over you. And I find that phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And you had to make some lifestyle changes in the way you approached it. So nutrition, holistic health. Let's talk about that. What type of changes did you find yourself beginning to make? Because I don't want to go straight to where you at now, because it's always a journey, right?
Absolutely. It was a huge journey.
Time.
It was a huge journey. A lot of people don't know me. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. Like, we didn't grow up rich and we didn't have all the information, you know, but we made do. We wasn't poor. Yeah. But like I say, I come from the generation of the canned goods and boxed food. And, you know, that's what we lived off of. That's not health and wellness. It's not nutrition, you know? So I had to make lifestyle changes. I understood that the stuff that I was putting in my body every day wasn't food. In all literal sense, this is not food. Like Little Debbie's and Dorito chips and, you know, Sunkist and sodas. And that is not, I had to understand that. And it first started with the water. So I started with the water first. I was buying, you know, you go to Walmart, you get the biggest, you know, the biggest one. I think it's like a 44, 42 pack. Cheapest one, you know, like run it.
That part.
everything in it, you're not getting hydrated. So it was a Spanish guy that I was living next to out here in Florida. He's like, man, I never seen somebody drink so much water. Dude, why you drink so much water? So I told him I got sickle cell. And he's like, you're drinking the wrong water. From there, this man telling me that I'm drinking the wrong water. It always happens like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He said, I said, what kind of water do I need? He said, you need alkaline water or natural spring water. That's what you need to hydrate. He said, the water you're drinking is dead. It's not hydrating your cells. And you need something that's going. From that talk, research. What is alkaline water? What is natural spring water? What does that look like? How can I get that? How can I have that? And
you know, I want to go back to something you said, because I don't think people understand that much of the basic water that is sold over the shelf actually keeps you thirsty.
Absolutely. It's all that plastic.
There are things added to it.
It's sitting in plastic. I drink out of these are like, you know, these are the containers,
right?
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's either that or glass. And what I understood is that all these plastics are giving off a chemical fume that's, you never know how long the water's been sitting in that case of water and how many times it's been shipped from Atlanta, you know, from here to there. So
even
I'm
to
always
mention who knows the source of it, then they send it through all this different, you know, reverse
back of a
osmosis.
truck. Is probably getting direct sunlight from the heat.
Exactly. And I want people to understand that, because the quality of your water makes a huge, huge difference. We actually buy a Black-owned water called 1186. Matter of fact, that's what's on my cup, 1186. And it is a natural wellspring. And I tell you, when my son started drinking that, he doesn't even drink anymore. Matter of fact, he'll be like, I can't take my medicine because we don't have no more water. But let me go. Once I got that water, I literally started seeing him change. And it wasn't like some drastic change, but when you know your body or you know
Yep.
your child, you begin to see the little things that matter.
Same
So
with
he
me.
told you about alkaline water. He told you about spring water, you know,
Yep.
that.
That was the start from there. Then
that
I
was the
started,
start.
that was the start. Then I started doing more research. Then I started getting into hydration from fruits. So the melons, all the melons and all of these berries that I needed. So I'm
Yeah.
looking at it all from a whole different angle. I'm looking at what I need in my body to give me nutrition so I could be well. My whole thing with sickle cell is that I've been fatigued my whole life. It's a chronic fatigue illness as much as it is a chronic pain illness. I
Yes,
like to get people to
yes,
understand that, because at a rate where your hemoglobin sits, naturally you're tired. You don't have enough energy in your body to keep up.
that's
Your
right.
hemoglobin is supposed to be at 12, 14 plus, and you're sitting at 7, 8. You're barely making it.
That's right. That's
You know,
right.
and for some of us, that's baseline. We feel good at 7, 8.
You don't know no
8,
different
9
feeling.
is like a
You were
high.
born into that.
Exactly.
You don't know it gets best like steak and hot dogs. You didn't know
Absolutely.
steak
True.
tastes that good till you have it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's interesting because, you know, coming from the Midwest where we live, you know, fruits and vegetables don't look the same as when you're in the South.
That's true. That's absolutely
They don't look the
true.
same, and Lord knows they don't taste the same.
That's absolutely
You know,
true.
so being in that area, you know, I that exposed you to a lot of unique fruits that not everybody would be aware of. Tell us about some of the stuff.
More tropical fruits. So the more tropical fruits I started looking at, like I never had beets in my life. Like we never ate beets.
Never, ever, ever, ever. And I was glad.
I understood that more foods that are from the ground, getting the soil, the nutrition from the light, the rain, that combination of natural electrolytes is what I was always lacking in my diet. Yeah. So when I understood that beets was a blood booster, I started finding ways to incorporate it because I knew that it wasn't pleasant in taste. So I started finding, you know, healthy ways that make it taste good. Make a smoothie. That's where I had the beet smoothie. So when I started doing the beet smoothie, that was primarily to keep my blood boosted up because my hemoglobin was always so low. And they wanted to start me on blood transfusions every 2 weeks. And I told them that wasn't going to work for me.
Woo!
So I asked my doctor, what could I do naturally? This man did it. He told me, get the blood transfusions. That was his response. I'm like, yeah, no, there's got to be another way. I talked to a woman out here. She's now 65 with sickle cell SS. Wow. Cynthia Bailey, I love her. That's my aunt Cynthia.
Yes.
When I met her, she was drinking beet smoothies, and she told me that these smoothies was helping her minimize her blood transfusion. That I should start it. And from then, this was like 7 years ago. It's been one thing that I've incorporated every day.
Okay, so I know you got several recipes. So there's a lot of people, I can see y'all through the screen. You making faces like beets. Oh, beets. So that's exactly what I was going to ask. Tell me about a few of the ingredients that you would put in one of your smoothies.
So one of my smoothies, I'll always like to do inflammation fighting fruits. You know what I'm saying? Inflammation fighting and high in hydration. So watermelon, melon, honeydew. These are what's in my smoothies. And I also do a lot of pineapple. Pineapple for me is like my sugar base whenever I need a natural sugar sweetener from fruit.
Okay.
So always pineapple. That's what's going to give it that sweet. And then moringa. A lot of people don't understand. I use moringa seeds and moringa powder. I grow moringa tree. Moringa, essential amino acid.
Put it in there.
Moringa is an essential amino acid that the body is depleted of, and it's one of the minerals of the 92 minerals that you need in your body, as well as the sea moss. And I do sea moss every day as well. But listen to this, going back to the moringa is top tier. You know, Indari. Indari is the new powder, which is the L-glutamine. Moringa is a natural L-glutamine, which L-glutamine is an essential amino acid. It's the same derivative that they use from moringa and Indari. I've done the research top to bottom. I went to Jamaica and I spoke on this to the kids in Jamaica, letting them know how plentiful moringa is. It's just in the backyard. And I grow it now. Even on my website, I sell
kidding
it.
me?
So immuneherbs.com. I sell moringa seeds where you can grow your own moringa and grow from seed and have your own. We have plants, we have seeds, and this is an everyday thing. It's a natural alkaline. So moringa naturally purifies the water in your body and alkalines the body. It's a natural alkaline. It also gives you energy. It boosts energy properties. If you look up moringa and its healing properties, is they say if it's good for cancer, that it cures cancer. So moringa is very powerful. It's called the tree of life, and that's what I use every day as well. So I just had to understand the herbs and stuff that I was missing from my diet. What we grew up thinking food was, it wasn't that. I have plenty of photos and everything I'm gonna post in here for my recipes on the smoothies and all of that.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that, because that's what I know people gonna want to know. Okay, what did
Most
you do?
definitely.
What did you put in the blender? Right. Yeah. That's important. So, I mean, did you have to, I feel like, when people want to start making this change, that change starts in the mind first.
It does.
Because
I'm glad you said
otherwise,
that.
not everything tastes, once you already started on what they call the SAD diet, that's the standard American diet, the SAD diet, they gave it the right name. You change your taste buds and you start expecting this certain flavors and but they're not natural. Right. So when you do start actually eating the things that are good for you, it ain't going to taste like the stuff you bought on the shelf. It ain't going to taste like the stuff they ran through, all kinds of machines and things. They added things to make you more addicted. They added addictive properties, y'all.
Absolutely.
Addictive properties. So
the guys that I grew up with from the island, they always tell me benefits over taste, because they know what we're about to whip up right here, it ain't gonna taste the best, but it's definitely gonna make you feel good.
Right. So what it doesn't have in taste, it has in feel good.
Absolutely. And I got a song on my album. I got a song on my album touching on all of this. The Sickle Cell album that I'm about to release September 1st for World Sickle Cell.
You brought it up. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, because I'm excited.
Special. It's special. It got 18 tracks on it. Everything that you're gonna hear from it come from Sickle Cell. From the production is made from a Sickle Cell warrior from Haiti, my man Jason. There's women on there that have Sickle Cell. There's a child on there that has Sickle Cell. You hear her voice. You hear Patrick's voice. Rest in peace, my dear friend who passed away with Sickle Cell. It's just special, and it's what it is. It's a healing vibration. So I tapped into sound therapy, and which is another form of medicine. This is what we're not taught. We need to have these in pediatrics. I'm really trying to develop something where we can get inside pediatrics and start this from pediatrics all the way and continue it through adulthood. But we need to have programs in place that are medicinal properties instead of just getting medicine all around the clock.
That's right.
We need to have sound therapy events. We need to have art, drawing and art expression where you can write and have journal time. All of these need to be like on a 2-3 hour basis inside the hospital, to where we don't feel like we just in here getting medicine sick. Because
that's mind and body.
It is. It's therapy.
And that connection, we don't talk about that connection enough. If your mind ain't right, your body ain't gonna be right. Absolutely. If sickle cell is whooping you in here, it's gonna whoop you everywhere else. Right. And when you begin to really focus on getting your mental in order and the way you process having this condition, I used to say it in the clinic, you got to work on how you think about, how you talk about, and how you feel about having sickle cell disease, because those three things, if they're not aligned in a healthy way, they will destroy you. They will destroy you, and you will feel like sickle cell is your master.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And sickle cell don't have to be your master.
And it ain't. And that's what this album is telling you top to bottom. It's affirmation, it's confirmation, it's motivation, it's inspiration. It's letting you know that you are more than this illness and this pain that you face all the time. It's letting you know that you need to have a positive outlook on your life, no matter your situation. It's letting you know, though you are down all the time, this too shall pass. It's like, it's everything that you need. I cry tears when I listen to this body of music, because I know how special it is. Just as special as me getting on here and doing these webinars and these seminars where I get to talk to us and let people know about the experiences that we face. But when you can go back and listen to it in art form, where it has different type of vibrations that making you move, and it's like, wait a minute, I really didn't get to listen to the lyrics because the beat was so crazy. Let me go back.
Yeah.
Then it's like, I didn't really get to listen to the beat because the lyrics had me so in tune. It's just there. And I thank God for every ounce of energy he gave me for this album. And you'll definitely be able to feel it and hear it. It's special.
Okay, you go, man, you're gonna drop just a little bit of that on us, just a little bit, just a couple lines.
I could do that. I could drop a little bit on you.
Okay. We want to hear a little bit of that.
Most definitely. Right now?
Yeah.
All right, say less. Don't threaten me with a good time.
I mean, your skills is fire. Your skills is fire.
I'm gonna drop this single on my birthday, and the album's gonna be available for pre-order on my birthday, which is July 21st.
Okay.
July 21st.
Okay. You a Cancer?
I am a Cancer. The last day of the Cancer.
Okay.
But I'm lion-hearted though.
Yeah, well, you right there on that cusp. Okay.
I don't know. I'm a child of God, man.
That's right.
That's it. I don't really know astrology and none of that.
That's right.
Line, that's God aligning.
I ask about it. I don't know what it means. I don't know.
Hey, me neither.
I just know and my birthstone is red.
I know that's right. Ruby. Yeah.
That's it.
All right, yeah. So let me know what you want to hear. You want to hear one of those healthy vibration songs I was telling you about?
Yeah.
All right, man. Let me see.
That's what y'all want to hear, right?
I gotta let you hear this because it's different. It's that. Check this out. Tell me, can you hear this?
Yep. Wait, it's going in and out.
It might hurt a little bit, but it's gonna take the pain away.
You hear it?
It's going in and out. I also brought up one of your YouTube channel because I want people to know about your YouTube channel, because I'm
gonna post all this. I'm gonna post all the links in here right now.
You what?
I'm gonna post all the links right now.
Oh, perfect. And by the way, y'all, if you have questions or anything, there should be a Q&A box down there. Feel free to throw your questions in there. This is interactive. We want to hear from you. We want you to share your thoughts. Perfect. You put your, well, I'm gonna do it this way so they can just click on it.
Yeah, how can I turn it to a link?
I'm gonna do it right now. Okay, that should work.
Yeah, everything's on there. My documentary, Priapism, everything, it's all on there.
There it is. Okay. You were just at Howard University.
Correct.
And, you talked a lot about yourself, but you also talked about, in addition to Priapism, how this journey has also taken you on this subsequent journey and better understanding and responding to mental health. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
So it forced me into understanding and having to get my mind right and get my mental right. You never know what mental health is because you never really get to talk about it. And that was my issue when I was coming up. I never was able to get to talk about the traumas that I was always facing as a child. Never had any counseling, any type of one-on-one sessions that I could talk to people, let them know this is what I went through from this timeline to this timeline. So I literally just had to go through mental health and learn that, oh man, this is mental health. You know, when you're a teenager, I like to say when you're like 18 through 25, you hear of everything that's going on in the world. So mental health is real. That heart disease is real. That people die from suicide. So when you hear mental health for somebody that has it's like, I already got sickle cell. I can't have mental health.
It's like a whole
it's like a whole nother thing. Ain't no way I can have that. So that was my mind to it because I was so ignorant of it. I never identified mental health with myself until I took a step back and I realized, man, mental health is me. I am mental health. I am a mental health patient. I have mental health issues. And that's not to say that my mind is far off and, you know, that I'm out here bad and I want to do the most to people and bring harm to people. That's far from that.
Nah. But when
We
you're
are
born into pain, you're born into pain. You
born
don't
into
know
trauma.
life without it.
No choice. We had no choice. We came in fighting, so we had to figure out everything. So naturally, yes, I do have mental health issues. And I suffered from it, and it looked like a lot of drug abuse in my past. That's what it was. But no one would ever know that story because I don't look like what I've been through. And I just thank God about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
I could sit on here and talk about all these stories and events that I went through that shaped me and made me. And I just give all the glory to God because literally, without his grace and mercy,
yes,
it's just all of what I just wanted to do,
yeah.
you know, and I'm just blessed that this is what he had for me and he didn't give up on me and I didn't lose my life in the act of trying to be
That's
well.
real.
I've
That's real.
seen
You
so
know,
many, you know, that wanted to live and be right here and advocate for sickle cell and tell their story, but they wasn't able to. They didn't make it.
yeah.
And you know, sickle cell is a real thing, and that right there play a lot on my mental. When I started getting in this advocacy world, and I start seeing people that I got their phone number in my phone, text messages, we talking, we got pictures with each other, all of this, and they just not here no more. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I tell people all the time, don't let sickle cell break you, let it make you.
Always.
You know
That's
what I
why
mean?
and that goes back to our thing saying that sickle cell is mental. It's a
Yep.
whole mental thing. And it's not mental illness, it's mental awareness.
That's right.
Understanding how you got to conduct yourself with sickle cell. Understanding that, okay, this is what I got to do to live well. Okay, then I got to do that. Adapting healthy lifestyles.
Yeah.
Being aware,
Yes,
self-aware of living well.
Yeah, you know, there's so many young people, you know, survival is a beast, right? When you live in a survival mode, you don't necessarily process all of the solutions through the same lens, right? So you try lots of different things trying to find the solution, but the solutions that are the most healthy oftentimes go right by you, right?
True.
And some of that is that lived experience, but it's also the stigma, right? There's a lot of people that don't speak well about sickle cell and sickle cell patients. There's people who don't speak well about mental health and what I call, you know, emotional wellness, right? Because if you've had a hard life, I don't care if your hard life is because of a particular health diagnosis. Maybe your parents were in jail. Maybe you know, the person you love the most, it was a drug addict. All of those things create these traumas in our body, and our body holds on. Our body has memory cells. Oh, yeah. And it truly remembers all of those harsh times. And if we don't keep this healthy enough to process it, we'll process it through the unhealthy parts of our brain that are seeking for an escape rather than an understanding. That understanding brings this enlightenment that allows you to take the journey that you've been on. Listen, you know, I tell people all the time, but you see where I'm at now. You know, it is a great book, but my first, I would say 6 years of my son's life, I was like on autopilot. I didn't know if I was coming or going. I was always present. I was always right there. I was always well aware of what was going on, but I'm not going to say that I didn't have unhealthy coping mechanisms to try to process it. I'm just trying, I'm like, this is, I don't know what I'm doing here. Right. And it wasn't until I really sought to, first and foremost, go through this mourning period of what I thought things were going to be, what I wish things were, what they were supposed to have been. Right. You know, and when I began to be on that journey, then I could look at these other solutions, and I could look at, you know, how I was improving me first, my spirit, my mind, my spirit, and then my body. Right. My body couldn't come first. I couldn't fix the body to the degree that I needed to if I didn't first start with my mind. True.
That's
and
true.
my spirit,
That's true.
you know? And so, you know,
And that's what led me on my journey. I wanted it more than anything. I wanted health and wellness for myself because I lived a whole life of sickness for 30 years. And it's like, look, man, I know I'm different in a sense that I gotta take care of myself in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I want to know myself as a healthy being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I always realized that we can live well with sickle cell. You just got to understand your body, and you have to have self-discipline. It ain't easy. I promise it ain't easy. Ain't nothing in life worth having, keeping, rewarding. Ain't nothing easy.
If it was, everybody would do it.
I'm telling you. So, but it's rewarding. It's rewarding.
Wow.
And I think with sickle cell, we need to reward ourselves, and we need to have some grace on ourselves from all the pain and all the rainy days that we didn't have, you know. So absolutely. So it's okay to, you know, have some self-discipline and pull back on certain things that you love. Man, I love Little Debbie's and donuts and cakes and cookies and all that. I just know my body can't have that type of sugar at all times.
Yeah, you can't indulge in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the kind of person, I don't take just one bite. I want the whole thing.
Right, yeah. So, if I'm gonna eat it, we gonna eat it.
So I either eat all or I eat none. So there's not a whole lot of in between.
I know that's it.
So I put the link to a book called The Body Keeps Score. And it's about that brain, mind, and body healing that takes place. Y'all, it's an excellent book. I am well familiar with it. But I want to talk about, so something special happened in the state of Minnesota today. All right. So in 2018, the Minnesota was finally added as a state that was approved for medicinal cannabis. Well, I should say sickle cell disease was added to the list of approved conditions for medical cannabis. Today, they finally, our governor signed for recreational cannabis, recreational marijuana. Now we've had hemp products, right? All the Delta 8s, Delta 9s, Delta O's. Every time I turn around, there's a new Delta letter or number. Delta, ain't it? Right. And there's some plant properties, you know, similarities and things. But I want you to talk about your journey with cannabis, because it has been your alternative to having to be on opioids constantly.
Absolutely.
Right. So let's talk. And y'all know, if you don't know, now you know. We talk about the things don't nobody else want to talk about. We talk about it openly, honestly, and we talk about our own journeys and the lessons we've learned, the mistakes we've made that have brought us to the place that we are. So if you're not where we are, there is nothing wrong with that. A journey is a million steps. So wherever you are on that journey, keep listening, keep tuning in. We ain't finished yet. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, my journey with cannabis started at 15, and I was just smoking because my big bro was smoking, trying to hang with big bro and be cool. But it was, it was crazy that it had a hold on me at that young of an age. I was walking to middle school, and I would leave middle school and I would have a blunt and all, at 15, 16. I never understood why I liked it so much, but my body resonated with it in a good way. But what I learned was, when I lived in Cleveland and I was always sick, I was always going to the Cleveland Clinic, man. These folks didn't know nothing about nothing. When I was in Cleveland and I would go through these withdrawals, I would be in the hospital for so long. So the time that I didn't have no cannabis, and I would come out of the hospital and I'd be in there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, all of the opioids that I was getting round the clock. Yeah. If I didn't have cannabis at home to smoke when I got out, I was going to be feeling every withdrawal effect, sweats, night colds, everything, vomiting, everything. It's just coming out of me like that. Upset stomach, no appetite. Yeah. So what I started understanding was, when I did have cannabis and I smoked when I got out of the hospital, I would have such a better release from being in the hospital.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling like, because my whole mindset when I got discharged was, dang, now that I'm feeling better, enough, well enough to go home, I still got to take care of myself at home. So it's not over. Like my sickle cell crisis, I always try to have people understand that your sickle cell crisis ain't over.
It is
You
not.
got discharged. You got to go home, and it's going to be like a whole nother week that you got to get your body prepped.
That's it. They just release you because now you can function without them over you. It's not over.
Exactly. So when I didn't have the cannabis and I was going through that, man, I'd be hurt, couldn't eat, couldn't do nothing. And I felt more sick. But when I had it and I started using it, it let me know that it was a natural plant that was helping with appetite. You know, when you start understanding effects without researching them,
right,
it makes you dive in further to the research, because it's like, oh no, I'm really getting properties and benefits from this, and y'all been telling me it's wrong my whole life.
Well, you was paying attention to your body. You was feeling the difference, right?
Most definitely, yeah.
Because it's no joke. I've watched my son's journey and watched the journey of so many of my patients over the years. I mean, I was managing 350 patients and their families. So I've seen it from birth all the way to age 21. And now that I'm as a community leader in this space, I see all of the ages. But I would watch just the way that the body has to detox from all of those medications. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that in those crises that's not what's needed, right? You need something to take you out of the suffering that you're in. But the side effect of that is your body is sluggish. Your cells now, you might have your blood might be flowing better, but now there's so many more toxins in it. You can't get back to school. Your mind is foggy and blurry and all of those pieces. So the fact that you were able to pay enough attention to your body to say, okay, there's a connection between when I partake in marijuana that actually helps me get over all of these other opioids that I've had to put in my body. I remember watching your post several years ago, and you'd be like, y'all, I'm out. and you'd be like, I can get better now, right?
People used to hate to see me do that, you know.
I was in the background like,
I still get backlash. I still get a lot of backlash. People like, man, you don't need to be, every time you need to be smoking on camera, man. And I'll be like, listen, man, if I don't tell people that, if you're not being, what I understood is, if you're not being transparent and 100% with people, then they will never know. They will always continue to live with the lies. They'll say that this is not good for you. It got to be good. Look what my man DeMitrious got, sickle cell SN. He doing
That's
good.
Right.
But here's the thing. I wish my whole journey with cannabis, I wish I was more educated when I was younger. That way I can educate my doctors that I was taking it. See, my problem was every time when my doctors asked me, do you do anything besides take your prescribed medication? I lied to them, say no. You smoke? Nope. Nope. If I wanted to, I wish I was educated enough to be like, yes, sir, I do. I smoke medical cannabis. It wouldn't have came off like that because the terminology wasn't that
right.
Yeah, I smoke weed. And then we get the side eye look again. Well, that's the reason that you're having, that's your issue right there. So I stayed away from it because I didn't have enough, dialogue and information to educate this person on how it was affecting me with my sickness.
The fear of what was the doctor going to do?
Absolutely.
How was the doctor going to respond? What are they going to remove from, your
actions? That was the thing. They was going to remove. They was like, well, if you're taking that, you don't need this. Like,
which bothers me immensely. Yeah. But you know what? Something you said, because, people have this response when they see you on social media, partaking, but they don't have that response when people have a drink in their hand.
Not only that, they don't got that response when it's time to throw back about 3 of them things.
Yes. No, they sure don't.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And the opioids. Listen, I'm trying to stay in that middle ground, but I remember when I first had the conversation with my son about cannabis, and because my concern was we were never opioid users. He doesn't like pills. He
Right.
didn't like taking them. He didn't like the way they made him feel. And he would allow himself to suffer. Right. And I was like, this, you can't, the damage it's doing mentally as well as physically, to just let yourself suffer because you don't want to take these pills because you don't want to feel weirded out. We have to find something different. And I took it upon myself, you know, at the time he was 18. I'm gonna put it, matter of fact, he was actually older than 18. He was 19. Because I don't want y'all thinking, but he was about 19. And I started saying, well, let's take a look at some other things that we can try. Right. You know, I grew up in that era of Mary Jane. That was my era. Right. So I wasn't foreign to it. And I knew people that could be able to help me to process, how do I do this? What's the best way for me to handle this? I didn't want him smoking. That was my biggest thing, is he had asthma really bad. That was, if there was one thing that made me pull back a little bit, it was because my dog, sorry. It was because I was concerned about his lungs. So I started baking with it.
Right.
And making things and creating butter and then adding it to his foods and things like that. And I saw this other level of relaxation. I saw this ability to function, right? Listen, cannabis is not to be used so you can just sit in your couch.
Right.
It's to be used so that you can function and you can achieve a quality of life.
Absolutely.
That is productive, right? Now, I don't define that for everybody. You're going to define it, but what it's not is just sitting and doing nothing, right? It should inspire you. It should get you moving, right? If it's not doing that, you might want to check your strain. You might want to adjust your strain a little bit.
I always like to educate people on this, because I always get this topic when we talk about cannabis. And cannabis is a serious situation to talk about when it comes to sickle cell. I had a lot of conversations where people that say, oh, when I smoke, I feel bad. I feel this, I have this pain, I have that pain. So I like to educate them and let them know that there's so many ways that you can ingest cannabis. That's you don't have to smoke it, you know, like any way that you can get it in you naturally, that you don't want to, you know, sit there and catch clouds or roll up nothing, then drink tea, you know, steep it. There's concentrates that you can use, sublingual, right underneath the tongue. They have THC little pills that you can start getting on.
Yeah.
Always like
an indica and a sativa, and how hybrid works in your body, you know.
Absolutely. And that comes with starting low and slow, you know, just take it easy and you know, introduce it into the system. That's what I had to do even with the natural foods. When I started learning herbs and drinking tea, I had to learn that I can't just full on drink 3 different teas at one time. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to introduce this to your body because your body ain't used to it.
Yeah. No different than they do at the doctors, right?
Absolutely.
If this was prescription medicine, they don't start you on this full dose. They don't start you on 3-4 different ones and full dose at the same time. They have to introduce it low and slow to see how your body. And listen, we're not saying that this is for everybody. Please don't misunderstand. They're obvious. Everybody is unique. It might be for some and not for others. One strain might help one person and it may not be as effective for you. That's why you have to do your homework. That's why you have to look into it. You have to read up. You know, yes, you can talk to your homeboy and your homegirl, but I'm gonna need you to open a book. I'm gonna need you to look through and read some things, you know, and add to that knowledge, right? It's not just a one person that can tell you everything you need to know. So we all have to do our homework. But I love that you know, you were able to channel it. And I would say that you know, you were able to channel a number of things into what wellness looks like for you, for your quality of life, right? You talked about your project, you talked about your journey with Priapism, then you had your surgery, and then you started the Save the Male Trunks initiative. You know, that was a huge piece. Then you began that wellness journey. And I'm not saying that this is in order, but I'm saying you have all these different ingredients, right?
Absolutely.
So that, you know, you could better understand, okay, what's right for me. And I think that even as caregivers, I won't even talk about the healthcare system, even as caregivers. Sometimes we get stuck on what we think is the right thing for our now adult child. I understand when they're under your roof, you're going to do what you're going to do. But I would ask you to be open-minded, have a conversation, because whether you like it or not, marijuana is here to stay. It's not, it's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere.
It is.
So your child may already have been exposed, be exposed. Have the conversation with them. Show them that you can handle this conversation responsibly without them feeling judged and without adding to the stigma of having nowhere to turn, when they're looking for answers. So we have to be open.
I love that, Ray. I love that.
We have to.
And that's real, because though I said I smoked at 15, I hid it from my mom so well. And you couldn't drop me off at home if we just smoked. Ain't no way. Like,
they gonna know, y'all.
But here it is. Like, I wish I would have told my mom. Like, I wish she had known. Like, we would have had these conversations. Like, Mom, this is what's helping me. I wouldn't have had to sneak. And because what that is stress. That's causing anxiety. Every time I want to release, ease my pain, and I know that this is going to help me, I got to find ways on how I got to lie and all of this stuff that I shouldn't have to be thinking of, so have these healthy conversations. And that's the same thing what I say in my Save the Mail Trunks care package. Have these conversations with your young men, with your young, with your young women, because that's what we lack is communication, man. We have to better understand. Don't think that they're too young for the conversation, because they're not.
They are not.
They're not too young.
They are not.
They need to hear it, and they need to hear it in a comfortable environment where it's with you, when where it's you, the caregiver, you, the parent, you, the loved one.
Yes. Yeah. And you want to know that they're getting the right information.
True.
All their friends ain't as smart as them.
And everybody ain't in the same type of household as them.
And they're not dealing with the same things, and I remember, my son had spine surgery when he was about 14. So when they finally, so I knew about medicinal cannabis, but I also knew that sickle cell disease was not one of them. But because he had his spine surgery, he qualified for intractable pain, right? I don't understand why sickle cell is not considered intractable pain, and it should be, but he qualified for intractable pain. And so that set us on the journey to say, okay, now you got pain from this in your spine. I mean, his spine was messed up, y'all. And you have the pain from sickle cell disease. I cannot let you suffer, and I can't be so hard-headed and only be stuck to one solution. Thank you, DeMitrious. For those of y'all who may not know, DeMitrious just uploaded a document into the chat so that you can click on it. And
that's for the smoothies. That's the recipe for the smoothies. That's the
all right,
smoothie.
excellent. The ability to sit down and have a conversation with him, and him to be able to be honest. That is probably one of the things that I take the most pride in as a warrior mom, is we can talk about anything. We can talk about whether it was, priapism, whether it was, the pain or his not wanting to take his meds. Well, we do struggle still with a little bit with the meds, but he knows I know, so he don't even try to hide it no more. Like, you ain't took your meds in a while. But just to be able to have that open, honest conversation, and him to say, Mom, I can't afford to go to the dispensary to get the medical cannabis. It's too expensive. I don't know what to do, and I don't want to take this other meds. Okay, well, let's figure it out. Let's put our wallets together. Let's put our chump change together so that we can make sure to keep you on track. Because the other piece was that he wanted to work. He wanted to be able to function.
Right. You want to, because like you look at yourself like, man, listen, you ain't gonna just strip everything from me, tell me I can't work, can't do that.
To work with. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love that. And so what I hope is that, people who are watching this education session, what I hope is that, if you're not watching it with your child, maybe you are a warrior caregiver, and you are rethinking some things about ways to support your warrior. Maybe you are the warrior who's needing a better understanding of how to partake safely. I am glad that medical cannabis is now also allowing more recreational, because we don't know all of the chemicals they're putting on it in the street. If you ain't growing it yourself, you don't know. And that's our next thing. I can say it now on camera. It's time to learn how to grow it ourselves. I ain't breaking no laws. We signed the law today. Y'all heard me. The Minnesota signed the law today. So I'm not talking about criminal activity here. Okay. Y'all heard me. So, but now have better control over what is going in your body. And you said that earlier with the fruits, the vegetables, you're growing things in your own backyard. I believe that we are moving very quickly to a society where that's what we need to do to have better control of what's happening in our bodies, whether you have sickle cell or not.
It's a must. It's a must. And we can't depend on everybody to do it for us. So we have to adopt these lifestyles ourselves. Right.
And I'll also say this, there's a lot of people, and understandably so, who have trust issues with the healthcare system. And I absolutely understand that. And so you may only engage in a limited capacity. But what I will say is, if you're going to say no to prescription meds, or you're going to reduce prescription meds, then you should be picking up the slack in something else natural. Right. And that's not just cannabis. That's not just what I'm saying, but I'm saying, don't reject one and do nothing.
Vitamins and supplements is necessary.
Yeah, I told people that about the COVID, vaccine. Most people that I know got the COVID vaccine. There was a handful of people that didn't want to. And I said, okay, if that's what your choice is going to be, because you feel like that's best for you, what are you doing as an alternative to that?
Right.
Because doing nothing is not an option.
It's not enough.
So the responsible thing to do is to get that knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And I used to tell my medical team, if knowledge is power, the absence of knowledge is oppression. And what we're not going to do at this clinic is be a part of an oppressive regime. So we are responsible for providing knowledge that is within healthcare and outside of healthcare. There are nutritionists at your child's hospital, more than likely. And if you have never seen them, ask for them. Say, is there a nutritionist here? Because if you're in a cancer clinic, especially pediatrics, trust me, those kids with cancer are getting the conversations with the nutritionist. Kids and young adults with cancer are being treated with cannabis, and they have been for a very long time. They may not talk about that, but they have been. So we cannot keep thinking about it through this singular lens of something's wrong with it. Most everything that we ingest now at one time was not prescribed, was considered an illegal substance, or was just a plant, or we have the whole pharmaceutical industry because the Africans and the natives taught them how to use plants as medicinals. Right. So we can't just blanketly reject everything around natural, homeopathic medicine. We have to think outside the box, and we have to remember our roots. That's what I love about you. You remember your roots. And you've you've reconnected with them.
Reconnected. I did.
So
it's blessed my journey. It's definitely blessed my journey. And the same way I'm living, it's for you too.
Yes.
It's for your child. If you're on here as a caregiver, it's for your child.
Yes.
They can live well with sickle cell, and I'm living proof. Not to say you're gonna be cured of sickle cell, but you learn how to live with it in a wellness like that, where you ain't running to the hospital. It ain't just drowning you every time one little pain comes on.
That's real. That's real. Because I want all my warriors and my warrior families. I want you to live well with sickle cell. This journey, again, it don't have to whoop you. It don't have to be your master. It might be your roommate, but it ain't your master. And so it's really better understanding who we are as individuals who are impacted by sickle cell disease, and recognizing that I used to tell my patients, dealing with a sickle cell crisis and sickle cell is like baking a cake. You need lots of different ingredients in different amounts.
That's true.
You know,
I heard you say that before.
yeah.
Yeah, I heard you say that
And
before.
you do, and everybody's cake ain't gonna look the same, ain't gonna taste the same. Your ingredients might be some not included in somebody else's, but what you do need is more than one ingredient. And opioids cannot be the only ingredient that you take. You also don't want to leave yourself in a position to where someone else gets to control when you get it and when you don't.
Right.
Right. And so it's also a way to take control of your health. But again, I always do say, and I'm glad you said it, talk to your doctor. Build the type of relationship where you can be honest. I'm not saying put yourself out there immediately, but I'm saying build to a trust that says, hey, I want to be able to share with you, but I'm concerned about how you're going to respond. Right. I need you to understand that I'm on a journey to better understand my own health and what control that I have over my health. We have to be able to have that conversation. We have to. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right. Anything else you want to add? Because this has been so good.
Thank you so much. No, man, this has been amazing. Save the mail trunks. Still sending out educational boxes.
Good.
Email me. My email is putting it in here right now.
All right. Because you can go to you can send you an email, or you can go to your website and sign up for a box, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, we put the website in there. I'll put it in there again just in case y'all missed it or you didn't scroll. This is so good, and I'm so glad. I see males, females, I see warriors, I see warrior caregivers. Y'all tell us who you are up in here. If you have any questions, anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? I don't see any open questions right now in the Q&A. Thank you for putting that in there. And then I'm going to put There we go. Here's your website as well again. That must mean we covered it all, y'all. Y'all don't have no questions whatsoever. I think that means we covered it. I love it. I love it. Thank you all for joining us. This was actually the first in our extension of SickleSMART called Lived Experiences. It's time to talk to the people who are living it. We can talk to the doctors, and we're never going to stop talking to the doctors, but we also need to talk to these seasoned adults and young adults who are on their journey, who are learning as they go. We learn from one another. We've always known that. Sometimes we'll listen to our people before we'll listen to the professionals. I always say, please have a healthy balance, right? But we carry knowledge. We do carry knowledge. And when you recognize the source of your information, then you can place trust in it, and you can grow from it. And that's the goal. Let's grow. Let's grow. I mean that in lots of different ways. Let's grow.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, AR the Prophet.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Let me just go ahead and close us out with one more thing. Let me do my share screen. So y'all get my announcements at the end. Don't log out yet. Some of y'all, I know that's what you do. All right. Thumbs up if you can see it, DeMitrious. All right, cool. So, of course, I want to say thank you to DeMitrious Wyant, also known as AR the Prophet. You are a warrior, an advocate, a prophet. I mean, that poet. I could go on and on describing you and describing your journey, but Save the Mail Trunks, you can find him on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at AR the Prophet. I apologize, I did not get your website on here, but it's artheprophet.com.
Yes,
right? All right, so it's all
Supernatural Soldiers album, September 1st. Sickle Cell album.
September 1st. And I can't wait. Not only am I buying one, I'm buying several, and I'm making sure that I'm handing them out in the community. I want you all to know this is not our only session. You can learn about future SickleSMART sessions at our website, or you can go to Eventbrite by using our bit.ly link, SickleCellMN-Eventbrite, and then you can sign up to follow us, and you can be notified whenever we have an event that comes up. You can follow us on social media, on all of the platforms that you see there. We are always at SickleCellMN. Let's see. like I said, there is on our website, excuse me, on our YouTube channel, we actually have an education repository. We have we're up to 70 some odd videos now of different educational topics and conversations with experts, and experts is not just the doctor. Experts, let's put it that way. That's warrior experts, physician experts, caregiver experts, all kinds of experts. So we want you to check us out on our YouTube channel, SickleCellMN YouTube, along with our bit.ly link. And we also have virtual activities that aren't educational, but that you can join us on. We have our support group every month, typically on the last Thursday of each month. I will say in June, it's actually on the 4th Thursday, but all the other times it's on the last Thursday. Ask Dr. Nelson, that is our SickleSMART Town Hall. So we bring Dr. Nelson, for those of you who are local, Dr. Nelson is a legend here in Minnesota, and cared for sickle cell patients for over 30 years, and is just a phenomenal human being, and a true advocate for the community. And then we also started our More Than Our Sickle Cell series with Biba Tinga out of Canada, where we talk about not just sickle cell disease, but our holistic health, and making sure that we recognize sickle cell ain't the only thing that we can have going on in our bodies. We got to pay attention, right? And then upcoming events that we have coming up. If you're local, please join us at our Slow Roll for Sickle Cell. It's our annual bike ride. It's coming up on June 24th. We changed the date for those who may not have known. We changed the date, no longer June 3rd. It's now June 24th. It is the way that we recognize World Sickle Cell Day. And when is World Sickle Cell Day, Demetrious?
June 19th.
June 19th. You know what else is that day? Juneteenth. So we get a double celebration, right? June 19th. So we honor in the month of June with our slow roll. And then I'm really looking forward in July. We are doing a race, racism, and health equity with a friend of mine, Dr. Nathan Chomolo. Dr. Nate is, y'all, if y'all missed that, y'all missing out. I don't even know if I want to upload that to the YouTube channel. I want y'all to be here live, right? Not only is he a pediatrician and an internal medicine doctor, he is actually the Medicaid medical director for the state, right? He looked like us, y'all. Yeah, I said it. He looks like us. In Minnesota, that means a whole lot, right? So,
no, for real.
No, really. So he, you know, they understand on a different level. So I do hope that you all will join us. I never leave this environment without telling people, hey, if you can't donate blood, find somebody who can. But if you can, please do. All right. When we talk about what's for us, with us, for us, nothing without us, we the us, y'all. So we got to participate. We got to be part of that and engage. Have a blood drive for your birthday. Do it as a celebration. You know, people will come then and donate blood. It's important. It's needed, but we need more.
I did a blood drive on my 33rd birthday.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. It was beautiful.
Diverse blood matters, right? Black blood matters. Right? So do that. Our voices matter. We talk about that. You can tell your story, share your medical experience. You can contact us, fill out our form. It doesn't matter where you're from. What we're doing is collecting the real lived experiences of individuals as they encounter the healthcare system. Not all bad. Some of it is good. We want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because when we advocate, when Ray sits at that table, they not only let my body in, they let my mouth in. And I'm going to speak truth to power in the most respectful way, but I'm going to tell them the reality of what's happening. So please help us to be able to tell your story. We don't use your name, don't worry. So that's it. Please, please, please support our sponsors and our partners, Beam Therapeutics, Memorial Blood Centers, and of course, Sickle Cell Disease Data Collection. We are so thrilled that you all joined us. We appreciate it. And, well, there we go. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.